Africa Tech Roundup is essentially a new media company that specializes in tracking the progress of Africa's emerging tech ecosystem. It's an industry, in fact, more than an ecosystem even, and we also deliver ecosystem-focused analysis and insight. In addition to that, we see ourselves as network mappers within this industry. We test the strength of the relationships within the said network. And here's an example of how that plays out. You may or may not know, probably may not know, a certain gentleman named Adebayo Olonge. He's the founder of a Nigerian startup called RXO. And Ade, as his friends call him, is a Nigerian Yale grad who's working for some of the world's biggest pharmaceutical companies. He also has some experience, quite a bit of experience in fact, working as a consultant for Boston Consulting. Apparently he didn't exist. That's until a few weeks ago when we covered him on our platform, and we shared all about his company's patented AI technology that verifies the authenticity of medicines in circulation. Now, this is a massive problem on the continent. Some estimates are between 20 to 60% of all drugs in our medical system on the continent are fake. And he and his team have done incredible work in this space, licensing this technology in places like Malaysia and now expanding outside of Nigeria on the continent into Kenya. Now, since featuring on our platform 2 weeks ago, he's landed 2 inquiries from very large South African pharmaceutical interests. That's just a quote from an email we received from him thanking us for helping him make headway in a market he's very interested in, but hasn't yet been able to make sufficient connection right here in South Africa. Now, there are dozens more founders like Ade, and not just founders, but others too that I'll mention in a moment. These are people who need to be acknowledged, sure, but also supported. And if you don't believe us, just visit africantechroundup.com. Just see how many people we're talking about. And that's why it's important for us to make the distinction between existing tech. We think of consumer tech and enterprise tech, sufficiently resourced and publicized, but emerging tech on the continent is slightly different. And so it's not just founders, it's investors, it's policymakers, it's IT pros, all Africa-focused individuals and organizations trying to move the needle for our continent in terms of digital transformation. So in terms of what we've achieved as a media platform in this space, well, our podcasts have been downloaded at least 100,000 times in the 30 months we've existed. We've had social video views in excess of 7,300. Our reach week to week via syndicated partnerships, both in print and online, is in excess of 2 million. And our followers and subscribers on social media are in excess of 3,500, which sounds a little low. But those of you in media will know that if we're talking organic, which we are, that's pretty significant for something that hasn't existed for any longer than 30 months. And so it's worth mentioning also, as we talk about this, that 2/3 of our online audience, at least 2/3 of our online audience, is based abroad. The US and America, in fact. And why are we sharing these numbers with you, aside from the fact that we're rather pleased with ourselves? Well, it demonstrates that we truly have our finger on the pulse of Africa's emerging tech ecosystem. And therefore, what's next? That's where Jamlab comes in. We've spent a lot of time thinking about our business in terms of what we consider the core product, our platform. And Jamlab offered us an opportunity to see it more as a foundation for something perhaps even bigger, an opportunity to package value around some of the things we've identified. We appreciate better than most blind spots that are, that are stalling the progress of Africa's emerging tech ecosystems. Insight gaps, challenges in connecting with other players. We're talking struggles in creating and exchanging value within this context. And so Cliff is going to unpack this a little further.
Thank you, Andile. Now, in the case of Ade, who's in Lagos, Nigeria, which is about 6,800 kilometers away, should he want to meet with his potential suppliers, he would have to travel here, which is about a 6.5 or so hour flight, and can actually be a bit pricey, if I remember correctly, just under 10,000 rand to go and come back. So one of the major frustrations that players in this industry are facing is just that travel intracontinental and also intercontinental is really, really expensive. But also the media in the emerging tech industry is largely PR journalism or paid journalism. And the frustration with that is that should Ade want to find a particular insight, because the information there is backed commercially, he might not be able to come into contact with what exactly he needs to find out, because, well, it's oversimplified in the experience that we have. And also you find that there's a lot of regurgitation of the same ideas and same voices in that space. So he might not be able to find the insight that he's looking for. But also there are various entities which are trying to back our ecosystem, and we find that a lot of these entities, while they may appear as champions of our African tech ecosystem, do not actually have their finger on the pulse of what's happening in this ecosystem, and only really do this as a massive PR exercise. So he might not receive the kind of support that he would need, and that tends to be a bit of a frustration for startup founders. And lastly, just to curate the right relationships is difficult enough, but to actually find time to sit down and have those organic connections with those people tends to be a bit of a challenge for people like Ade. And some of the issues that we're addressing here, they've been trying to overcome these, and Andile will just unpack that a little further for you as we see how African Tech Roundup fits within this ecosystem.
In summary, really, there's a couple of ways the players and the actors within this ecosystem are looking to plug both insight gaps and blind spots in their experience. Free media, not unlike what we put out as the African Tech Roundup podcast, free events, independent networking efforts, as Cliff has said, premium reports you can subscribe to, database access, also premium events you can attend, commission freelance consulting, which is great. I mean, send someone out, have the conversation for you, report back, and of course, if you're well-heeled, hire a top-end consultancy to sort of tell you what's happening or not, depending what you think of them now. I think if you've been in South Africa recently, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's something in the middle that we think is missing. We think everyone needs to be having more conversations. Not just any conversations, relevant ones, pertinent ones, and conversations with the right individuals. And that's what we're excited about. New ideas around this concept. Our first product in this space is something we'd like to call Ask an African. Ask an African offers clients paid hourly virtual access to private, moderated, and curated roundtables in a safe environment, all done virtually with leading entrepreneurs, innovators, thought leaders, one or two at a time, who are intimately involved with Africa's emerging tech ecosystem. We later plan to scale this idea into a fully automated digital question answering service that allows anyone from anywhere in the world send in questions to us and allow us to leverage our live network to get the best possible answers to the questions you might have at between 5 to 10 minutes a bite in audio video. Now, some of the benefits in this space include savings in time, money, candid insights that you often won't get if you try and curate things yourselves or try and start a meeting yourself. And most importantly, the most valuable thing, network access. Now, we not only deliver on hosting great conversations, moderating them, and ensuring that our clients get the most out of the people that we bring through our live network, but we also make sure that they can share these experiences and scale that experience with team members within their organizations through full transcripts and audio recordings and meeting summaries, as well as in podcast format, narrated summaries.
And our other flagship product is African Acumen, which essentially leverages off of our growing content and premium unreleased content to deliver immersive multimedia experiences which are hosted on an online platform, which we have a picture of here. Just to mention that one of our tech partners is Clock Education, where this is hosted, and this will give you access to that entire database, which is searchable, where you can get insights on whatever topic it is that you're actually looking for, and it's all delivered in a multimedia suite, which will give you maybe 20 to 30 minute videos that we have collected insights from many of Africa's top players in the African tech ecosystem, and that will be made available in this particular searchable database, which is available on demand from anywhere in the world.
So we're looking to ensure people have great conversations, immersive multimedia experiences, and here's a picture of Tor, one of our early beta clients, and this is what he's had to say about the value he's derived from what we've so far done for him. He is a Danish investor who's recently moved to Madagascar. He's got investment interest in East Africa. He's already invested in a single startup and is actively angel investing in others. And he's told us that so far he values the conversations we've curated on his behalf far more than any of the subscriptions he's subscribed to. He's a former consultant, finance head, really great network, but still considers the value we provide superior to a lot of the things he's currently plugged into. And so, why do we tell his story? Well, we think conversations matter. We think people need to connect in a meaningful way. We think we can help them do it better, faster, and more meaningfully than anyone else in our space. And that's why we can't wait to start a conversation with all of you, or some all of you, about how you can join us and get this party started, as it were. Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing from you.